Star Wars 7x7 episode 2294. Well, the writers for the episodes of The Mandalorian Season 2 have been revealed, and unlike the director situation, the writer situation is very similar to what we had in Season 1. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So, Season 1 of The Mandalorian actually only featured 5 directors, and we're going to have 7 for Season 2 of The Mandalorian. There are returning directors, for example, Dave Filoni and Rick Famuyiwa and Bryce Dallas Howard are going to be directing episodes in Season 2, and were, of course, already directors for Season 1. New directors for Season 2 include Jon Favreau. Yes, he actually did not direct an episode in Season 1, as it turns out, as well as Robert Rodriguez and Peyton Reed and Carl Weathers. Among those 7, though, that means that somebody's directing 2 episodes. I would bet it's not going to be Rodriguez or Reed or Weathers, just because this is their first time directing The Mandalorian. Probably going to go to somebody with a little more experience with the brand, as it were. And as of yet, the directors have only been announced for episodes 1 and 5. So Jon Favreau is going to be directing the first episode of the season. Dave Filoni will be directing the 5th episode of the season. I think it's probably fair to say that Rick Famuyiwa will end up directing the 6th episode, or the 7th episode of the season. And there's a particular reason why I think that's the case. And it has to do with the fact that he is listed as the writer of the 7th episode of the season. So very likely that he is going to be involved. In fact, in Season 1, he was the co-writer, the co-teleplay writer of the episode that he directed, The Prisoner. That was episode 6. Christopher Yost was the person responsible for the story, credited for it, and then co-wrote the teleplay with Famuyiwa. But that gets me to the writer situation, which is what we started this whole business about. So, Season 2 and Season 1 are very similar. The first 4 episodes of each are written by Jon Favreau, and the 5th episode of each is written by Dave Filoni. So that much they have in common. And the final episode of the season is also written by Jon Favreau for both Season 1 and Season 2. The one difference is between episodes 6 and 7, where basically it's reversed. In Season 1, it was Christopher Yost and Rick Famuyiwa doing Season 6, and in Season 2, Famuyiwa is doing Episode 7. Whereas in Season 1, Favreau did the writing job for Episode 7, and in Season 2, he's doing the writing job for Episode 6. Try not to get too confused. It makes a lot more sense when you're looking at it on paper. And it sort of suggests kind of an interesting point, or at least something that I thought was interesting, which I will share with you in just a second. Before I do want to reiterate, if you don't mind, my request this month to please leave a rating or review for the podcast on iTunes if that's where you listen to it, and if you haven't yet done so. I hope that I have earned 5 stars from you, but yeah, be honest, that's more important. And a few extra seconds to leave a review would be fabulous. It really does help more people find Star Wars 7x7 when they're looking for a daily dose of Star Wars joy in that podcast search situation. So thank you very much for considering it. If you have already done it, then thank you so much for doing it. So the reason why I'm looking at, the writers and the directors and looking at the combination thereof is that it does seem like the strongest episodes have happened when the writer and director were not the same, or when there was input from another source, right? So every episode in Season 1 of The Mandalorian was done by a different writer-director combination, with the exception of Episode 5, The Gunslinger, which was the only episode that was actually not submitted to the Emmy Award folks for consideration for any Emmy Award categories. Even The Prisoner, which was the Season 1, Episode 6 episode that was directed by Rick Famuyiwa, was not written solely by him. He co-wrote the teleplay, but it was also co-written by Christopher Yost, who also has a story credit on that episode. So it really does seem, with Star Wars, that a lot of evidence supports the idea of very strong creative efforts coming from combinations of writers and directors, where it's not necessarily the same writer and director. You could certainly make an argument that it worked out just fine for the original Star Wars, aka A New Hope, and also for Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi, but I would also point out that William Hike and Gloria Katz did a lot of punching up a dialogue on the New Hope script, and Carrie Fisher was consulting on the Last Jedi script with Rian Johnson. So yeah, it's even, when you think that it is, all one person, it's really not all one person. And probably with TV stuff, there's a writer's room situation going on as well. But, it's really fascinating to see that interplay between writer and director for me, and what one brings to the table to augment the ideas of what the other has brought. And so I'll be curious to see how the writer-director situation plays out in season 2, and I hope that it's something of curiosity to you as well. So that's what we're going to do for this episode of the show today. Thank you so much for joining me for it, as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
Star Wars 7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2020 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.